Hello, welcome to Stories in Time. My name is Ellouise Schoettler. I'm a storyteller. I have a brand new story to tell, a personal story, a story that means a lot to me, and maybe you'll understand it completely. 76 years ago, I met a darling young girl in my Girl Scout troop. I walked into that room at the Hawthorne Lane Methodist Church in Charlotte, North Carolina, and she was laughing and talking, and she'd never seen me before in her life, but she came up to say hello. Hi, my name's Betsy. Who are you? And I told her, and there was just a good feeling there, and afterwards we became friends in the Girl Scout troop. Well, we went from the Girl Scout troop at the Methodist Church to Piedmont Junior High School, 3 years of Piedmont Junior High School to learn each other and to get to know each other better. And then to Central High School in Charlotte, and we graduated together. And we've been together ever since. It didn't matter whether we lived in the same town or close by, because we have the magic of the telephone. And we were part of each other's lives, even if it was at a distance. I didn't help her wash her dishes, but we helped solve some problems for each other. It was wonderful, a richness in my life, I can tell you that. Well, when you've been so rich in your friendships, and you've loved the person that was your friend and that knew you better than anybody else in the world. And when the daughter of that person calls to tell you that she's died, it's just almost than you can bear. I haven't cried. She died last week, and I haven't cried. I felt like it, but I didn't want to. She has a large and beautiful family. And so I went the other day, 3 or 4 hours in the car to her funeral. A celebration of her life was what it was. It was not exactly what I expected it to be. It was special, and it was unlike other funerals celebrations that I had been to. It celebrated an 83-year-old woman who had done a lot in her life for people, to be with them, to love them, and to be lucky to be with her. My son had to drive me up. I have, you may know, had to have a hip replacement, and those beautiful things are not always the most comfortable even after they've been fixed, so my son drove me that 3 hours, and we arrived about an hour before the service started. I had not been to this service or to this church. It was small but old. When you went in, it was old. And it was beautiful. It had lovely, colorful, stained glass windows that were long and narrow up above the altar and then on the sides. It was just charming. And I sat down and I thought, I just know this is going to be wonderful. I just feel it's going to be wonderful. And it was, actually. I was very surprised. A little later, I was sitting next to my friend that I had met at the same time that I knew Betsy, and we too had graduated from high school together. We'd done a lot of things. In fact, Betsy and I used to laugh about this. We had made ourselves, she, me, and 3 others, into a group, and we called ourselves the Big Five because we like to tell people what to do and to say to others what we thought was the right thing to do. And on our 50th birthday, we went someplace, the 5 of us, and we met. And Betsy came in, that was her name, Betsy, and she had brought a bracelet for each one of us. I still have mine. And she said, this will be our Superwoman bracelet. And when you're in trouble, you just wear this bracelet and hold it up so that the bullets can't get to you. Well, bullets don't have to be real metal bullets. They can be tears or sadness or happiness. And so often I will pick this bracelet out and I will wear it and show it. And remember the wonderful weekend that the 5 of us spent in Virginia in the mountains at a retreat place. So let me get back to this wonderful service. Her whole family was there, and it's a beautiful family. It's a beautiful family. Children as old as my children, and then younger children, grandchildren, and a great-granddaughter, newly produced, which she was so thrilled about. There was singing, and there was reading, and there was talk. And there was the bishop of this congregation. And he came and he conducted the ceremony. And the thing that I loved about this yesterday, it was a woman's ceremony. How am I going to describe that to you? Well, first of all, Betsy was a woman. So it was for her. And her daughter-in-law, whom she loved so dearly, did a reading from someone that Betsy loved. I knew that she was so fond of poetry and that she talked and told me about poems quite frequently, and that she had kept a box of favorite poems in her desk, and they had selected poems from that box. So we knew that that was something that she probably would have selected for herself. So her daughter-in-law gave a talk from those poems. Someone else read another poem by Mary Oliver, one of Betsy's favorites. And then there was a picture and a poem and a writing on the back of the program that had been hanging in her house for 40 years since our friend Jane had given it to her. Well, all of those things speak of love. Love and caring and knowing. There was a wonderful man who led the service. He was a bishop. A bishop had come from far away in their area to lead Betsy's service. The people in her church felt warm and friendly. You just felt it. And several of the members of that congregation sang with gorgeous, deep voices, gospel songs, and sometimes songs that really portrayed a woman's life. It was extraordinary. It was. And after we had prayed and the service had ended, we were invited to lunch. All the people that were there were invited to lunch in the room next door to the church room. And there were tables in there with really lovely and happy white tablecloths with sort of red objects on there, like somebody had written on it, but it wasn't. It was printed. And as soon as you walked in the door, it smelled good. It did. It smelled good. My son had driven me up there, and I said, oh, my God, that smells so wonderful. And you know something? It smells so Southern. Well, I was right. It smelled like food that we would recognize from our childhoods in North Carolina. Fried chicken, please. Macaroni and cheese, please. And wonderful Southern cooked green beans with the taste of a ham in it. That's how I tasted it. It may not have been a ham, but I tasted it like it should have been a ham. And biscuits, of course. And then a cooked cake dessert and tea. And people were smiling behind their tears, and they were talking, and they were meeting strangers because they wanted to talk about Betsy and who she had been to them. I had met many of her friends, which was wonderful for me because I didn't have to be a stranger in that group. And it had been a while since my son had seen her sons, and he was so welcoming of that. And somebody said to him, "We're surprised that you came." And he said, "Why would I not come? She had been part of my life." Because women do share their children, don't they? I wanted to share this story because it was sad, it was loss, it was also joyous and happy and friendly among strangers. And it showed you how important, it showed me how important music is when you're sad. Really wonderful music is important. And I had plenty of that. It was Tuesday. And as we rode home, my son and I chatted somewhat, but not much. It's a time for quiet until it started to snow. And then that wasn't quite so fun, but it was wonderful. Can I say that again? It was wonderful. And I'm so grateful for having been there with my friends and her family and her friends. Thank you for listening.